It's been nearly 9 months since I last played Pokemon X and Y, which is also the last time we did a solo run in the game, and looking at the current tier list, I realized I'm missing a few types from it. Bug, Electric, Ground, Poison, Rock, and Dragon. Today we're going to be knocking out one of those types as we see how fast Heliolisk can complete the game. Rules are in the description. When it comes to speed, Heliolisk has plenty of it, with it and its special attack being tied at 109 for its highest stat. Its special defense is also good at 94, but its HP, attack, and defense are lacking. And my choice of nature might surprise you because of this. I decided to go with a naughty nature to boost my low attack. Do keep in mind that it's been 9 months since I've played these games, so I am a bit rusty, but my thought process was that being that we get a lot of physical TMs, especially in the beginning of the game, it would be nice to hit a bit harder with my physical moves. And this is a lesson I'm taking straight from the Volcarona run. Check that out. One quick thing to point out on screen here, you'll see that the starters are actually the Kalos starters. That's because if I use the randomizer, it also randomizes the Pokemon you get from Professor Sycamore, as you've seen in prior videos, and I'd like to pick up one of the Kanto starters. From this playthrough going onward, I'm going to pick the Pokemon that would give Callum the advantage against me, and then load my Solomon in via PK Hex. But let's talk about moves really quick. Being that Heliolisk is a stone evolution, we're going to get no moves by level up, and we're going to start with the last 4 we have at level 1, which are Quick Attack, Thunder, Charge, and Parabolic Charge. Honestly, a great starting moveset. We have a 110 base power move out the gate that takes advantage of our special attack, and an HP recovery move to hopefully offset the terrible defense and HP stat. Through TM, Heliolisk gets a lot, but I'll just cover some of the notable ones. Hyper Beam, Rain Dance, Thunderbolt, Return, Dig, Rest, Focus Mist, Charge Beam, Bulldoze, Dark Pulse, and Surf. In the early game, I'm going to be battling every trainer I come across for 2 reasons. The first being money. There are a lot of TMs I want to purchase later on, along with one I want to purchase in Lumiose City once I arrive, although it will be after I leave Lumiose and I'll have to backtrack for it. And the second reason is for the upcoming gym leaders. Viola isn't going to be a challenge since both of her Pokemon have an electric weakness, being part water and part flying type. But after her, we have Grant, who usually gives me the most problems in these runs, Karina, whose fighting types will have an advantage over our part normal type, and Ramos, whose Pokemon resist our attacks. It's weird I'm bringing up Ramos because he's usually awful, but I have to imagine he will cause some problems later on. The last thing I want to talk about is Heliolisk's abilities. Normally, Heliolisk can have either Dry Skin or Sand Veil, with its hidden ability being Solar Power. Today, I went with the hidden ability, but when I rooted this months ago, I overlooked that it can't learn Sunny Day, so I'm pretty much going to have a useless ability for the entire run. If I were to redo this, I'd probably go with Dry Skin since it can at least learn Rain Dance, and I can pair that with Thunder. Once I arrive in Santaloon City, I'm going to clear all of the trainers south and west of it, along with all of the trainers in Viola's gym. I'm also going to be picking up overworld items to sell. This part wasn't strategic on my end and totally accidental. It was just me knocking off Rust and forgetting what items are which, although I do remember the rare candy locations and some ethers and whatnot. You'll also see that Pokelink is working again, and I'm running this on a new emulator. I've switched from Citra to BizHawk, and this emulator definitely performs a bit better than Citra does, at least for the 3DS games. Although there are still times where my emulator might freeze for a split second, or my frames might drop, but I recently purchased some PC upgrades that will be installed by the time this video comes out. This was unfortunately filmed before them, so hopefully we can get better performance in the next Gen 4, 5, or 6 video, whichever comes first. And since I'm using Pokelink, I'm using my Stream Deck to toggle the badges on, and like I mentioned in the Wigglytuff run, if you see that I earned a badge but didn't toggle it on, just be patient with me. After I battle every available trainer, Heliolisk is level 12, and it's time to take on the first gym leader, Viola. Surskit is first and it's one-shot by Parabolic Charge. Her ace Vivian is next, and although it tanks a Parabolic Charge, it just goes for Tackle, and a follow-up Parabolic Charge knocks it out, earning us the first badge. Heading to Route 4, I continue my early game training. There are going to be plenty of trainers between here and Solage City, where Grant, the second gym leader, awaits. So I should be at a pretty high enough level when I face him. I'll also have 2 rare candies by then. At the end of Route 4, I get the TM for return from Professor Sigamore's assistants, but following a theme on the channel, I don't teach it right away. After defeating Professor Sigamore and Lumiose, I take Bulbasaur, so I have a Cut and Rock Smash user. It's off to Route 5 from here, and it's business as usual, battling optional trainers for experience and money, and after I battle my 3rd trainer on the route, I quickly backtrack to Lumiose. I head to the Pokemon Center and grab the TM for Bulldoze, just to give myself some extra coverage for this early game. In Camphirier Town, there's another change I'm going to be making in these runs going forward. I used to visit the Berry Man in the Northwestern house and reset until he would ask to see a Pokemon of a type I had. But to save time going forward, I'm just going to preload a berry into my bag when I set my starter. However, I'm going to restrict myself from using it until I reach Camphirier Town. It's the best and fairest solution I can think of, but let me know in the comments if you have a better idea. In today's playthrough, I'm going to go with a Chesto Berry. There's also an Eevee you can trade for in Camphirier Town that's holding a rare candy, so I could technically have 3 before facing Grant, but I always skip this one. We'll just have to see later on if that was a mistake to skip this in this run. After arriving at Parfum Palace, I head upstairs to grab the amulet coin, which will help me in my quest for money, and take care of the other errands such as grabbing the rare candy and the HM for Cut before grabbing the Poke Flute. I'm going to make 2 trips down Route 6 along the left and right hand side, battling every trainer I come across on each side, along with facing every trainer I come across on Route 7. Since I'm holding the amulet coin now, I'm getting double the money from these battles. Let's pick things up on Route 8. As I make my way down to Amberette Town, I'm going to be battling any optional trainer I come across while also picking up items to sell. And once I arrive, I'm going to get the TM for Rock Smash. This is so I can pick up a TM later on, along with another rare candy. Speaking of rare candies, there's a hidden one on the beach here which I get. It takes me a while to find though, because I haven't played these games in 9 months as I've mentioned before. I make my way towards Glittering Cave after talking to the scientist about some fossils and quickly dispose of Team Flare, taking the jaw fossil at the end, before battling even more trainers on the beach as I make my way into Solage City. The first order of business here is going to be picking up the TM for Rest. This might come in handy later. Afterwards, I'm going to battle all of the trainers on Route 10 just as an extra precaution before Grant. I don't know if I've ever talked about this in a prior Gen 6 run, but I hate the gap between the first and second badge. In-game time-wise, it's a good hour plus. It's just one of those things that annoys me about X and Y. After clearing out Route 10, Heliolisk is level 27. I make my way into Grant's gym and battle a few trainers to get to level 29. I have 2 rare candies in my bag in case this first attempt goes sideways, but let's see if Heliolisk can first try the Rock Specialist. And it's the battle against Grant that actually made me restart this playthrough as a whole, because Amora would either one-shot me or come close to, and Tyrunt would easily clean me up. But in this run, I can 2-shot Amora with Bulldoze and Parabolic Charge, while also healing back some HP for his ace Tyrunt. Bulldoze does about a third as it hits me with Rock Tomb. I go for Parabolic Charge to test some damage while also healing some HP as Rock Tomb tags me again. I think even if I didn't go for Bulldoze on the first turn, we would still be able to outspeed Tyrunt, and one final Bulldoze knocks it out, earning Heliolisk a first try victory. As I head towards Geosenge Town, since I can now use Strength outside of battle, I get the TM for Thunder Wave as one of those just in case things. Team Flare is not a problem, and neither is Karina and her 2 Lucarios. They're one-shot by Bulldoze, and it's a good thing I have Bulldoze. Because remember earlier in the run when I mentioned that I didn't teach Return right away? It's a good thing, because there's this trainer in Glittering Cave, and he is a Gollet, who is a Ghost and Ground type, which means if I didn't have Bulldoze, I would have no moves that could hit this thing. By the way, I did a playthrough with its evolution, Golurk, in Pokemon Black and White. Go check that out. This is the only mandatory trainer that could potentially cause problems for Heliolisk in Reflection Cave, so we're going to jump ahead to Shalor City. Before heading to the Tower of Mastery, I purchased the TM for Dig. Heliolisk can learn this move, but I can also teach it to my HM users so I have a fast way out of a place like Frost Cavern later. The Tower of Mastery is also where we have our first rival battle against Callum, and this one is a bit too close for comfort. I open with a Thunder on Meowstic because I want it gone, but it sets up a light screen after hanging on. I've also taught Return prior to this battle, and with our friendship currently at 239, Return's base power is 95. Which after stab, it's at 142. Remember, we are part normal type, which won't matter for this battle because Quilladin doesn't have any fighting type attacks just yet. I can two-shot Callum's Absol, and last is the grass fighting type. Return does about a third as Needle Arm brings me to half. My next brings it to low red health as its Needle Arm does the same to me. It's a good thing Quilladin doesn't have a priority move, and we take a first try victory over our rival. But now, we have to deal with Karina's fighting type gym and trainers. The first 3 trainers don't give me too many problems though. First up we have Kate. She's pretty easy, she just has a Meditite and Mienfoo. And then we move on to Rolanda, who I do have a first try victory against, but there is some difficulty against her Sawk and Hariyama. Next is Dash, who has a single Heracross, and while it is close, I do pull out the first try victory. But now we have this final trainer, Roller Skater Sean. He has a Pancham, Throw, and Machoke. The Pancham is no problem, I can one-shot it, but the Throw hangs on from a Thunder. It follows up with a Revenge that annihilates Heliolisk. Because I haven't saved since entering the gym, and I don't want to rebattle the other gym trainers, I decide to take the Blackout, but I get Revenge in the next battle, as Throw goes for Seismic Toss instead of Revenge. I can two-shot it and one-shot his final Pokemon, Machoke. If Karina's final trainer was that tough, I'm expecting her Pokemon to shred me like she shreds opponents at the skate park. Mienfoo is first and it always opens with Fake Out. Parabolic Charge will two-shot it and give me some HP recovery in the process, but it does tag me with a power-up punch before going down. She sends in her Ace Hawlucha next. It's part flying type, and while Thunder would have one-shot it, I opt for the healing with Parabolic Charge. It goes for its strongest move in Flying Press, but from here Karina is stuck in a healing loop, and I can recover to full HP from here and move on to her final Pokemon, Machoke. For it, I do switch to Thunder, but I miss. Machoke hits me with its own power-up punch, boosting its own attack in the process. Thunder misses once again, and Machoke decides to go for Rock Tomb instead of finishing me. Of course, if I miss again, I think I am finished. But Heliolisk doesn't, and that's 3 first try victories against gym leaders. After defeating Karina, you have to battle her atop the Tower of Mastery, and can also get a free Lucario. But you can also get the TM for Low Sweep here, which I pick up just to have some extra coverage. I get the HM for Surf as I leave town. And something I've never shown off in these playthroughs, riding the Skiddo. While on it, you can actually skip the trainers on this route, and we're going to come back to why that isn't such a good idea, but I can also pick up the leftovers after cutting down this tree. And as I try to enter the Comarine City gym, Callum challenges me to a battle, and things don't go particularly well. I have to two-shot the lead Meowstic, who sets up Light Screen once again, and normally Absol would have been a two-shot with Return, but I roll the dice with Parabolic Charge trying to get extra recovery, which leaves it on a Sliver. It gets in another Bite, which does massive damage, bringing me to 26 HP. I knock it out on the next turn and move on to Quilladin. It still doesn't have a fighting type move, only Needle Arm and Bite, but Heliolisk just doesn't have the power to knock it out fast enough, and Callum defeats me. When I reset my game, I last saved back at Karina, and this was frustrating having to replay back to here. But in the next battle, I still don't learn my lesson. Once again, Meowstic sets up a light screen. This time I've taught Low Sweep though, to have some super effective damage against Absol, which does half. And once again, I roll the dice with Parabolic Charge, which gets a critical hit knocking it out, giving me some much needed recovery for Quilladin. This battle gets very close. Return does about a third as the light screen wears off, and and I go for Thunder, missing my first, getting brought to low red health, but I hit my second to finish his ace. Marine City Gym. A big mistake I made in this run was not buying healing items at the Pokemon Center prior to coming to the gym, and I have to 2 or even 3-shot a lot of the Pokemon here, and they can inflict annoying statuses like poison and paralysis. Also, you can see the rust firsthand as I don't remember where exactly to go in the gym to get to Ramos, and my mistake of not buying healing items is going to cost me because I have to battle Ranger Twiggy here, and she has an Exeggutor who is just too bulky for Heliolisk to handle. I did do a safety save prior to this battle, and I'm going to have to backtrack out of the gym to buy some healing items and climb back to the top of Ramos's treehouse. I do get revenge on Twiggy in the rematch, and now let's see how the grass specialist of Kalos is. Jumpluff is first. Thunder is neutral against it and brings it to red health as it hits me with a weak acrobatics. Since Ramos is going to use a hyper potion, I go for parabolic charge for some healing of my own before going for Thunder for the kill shot, which unfortunately misses, and Jumpluff then hits me with Leech Seed, effectively putting me on a timer. I did put the leftovers on prior to this battle for some additional recovery, and Thunder does hit on the following turn to take out his lead, but then he sends in his ace Go-Go, and this thing has Bulldoze on its moveset for super effective damage. My opening return scores a critical hit, which makes it look like a 2-shot, but my next leaves it on low red health, and his ace finishes me, and Ramos defeated me 2 more times. After that third loss, I should have used my 2 rare candies in my bag to level up to 40 and try again, but I wanted to save them just in case I would need them later on, for somewhere like the League or before Lysander. Instead, I decided to battle the trainers I skipped in Ramos's gym, and then I backtracked to Route 12 and battle the trainers I skipped prior. This gets me to level 39, and I end up having to use a candy anyway. And at level 40, Ramos defeated me 2 more times before I got this battle. Thunder one-shots Jumpluff, and I get lucky on Go-Go as Return 2-shots it, avoiding any use of hyper potions. Last is Weepinbell, which gets 1-shot by Return. Finally, the 4th badge is in hand. So before we get into this next section of the game, I want to point something out. I've actually gotten my PC back from its maintenance and upgrades. Unfortunately, I had to rework a bunch of settings, including my mic settings, so let me know from this point going forward how the voiceover sounds. I may have to adjust it in future videos, and that's okay, as long as I know now. This next section of the game is going to take us through the Lumiose Badlands to the power plant. Once I finish up business here, we will be making a trip back through the Badlands for a TM that I want. I couldn't get it on my first go around, and I'll explain why, but the Team Flare grunts along with the admin and Aliana at the end don't provide a challenge for Heliolisk. I backtrack to the beginning of the Badlands since the wind has died down, grind across some rails, smash a rock, and follow the trail for Charge Beam. I couldn't grind on the rails when I first arrived, and Shadow Stitch mentioned this on Bulbapedia that explains the wind mechanics. I'll let you pause to read them if you want. Before entering Lumiose City, I pick up another rare candy, and with power restored to the city, let's take on our 5th gym leader, Clemont. For Clemont's gym, I taught Bulldoze for the gym trainers, but for Clemont, I've taught Low Sweep, mainly to restore PP. Clemont isn't a challenge though, and he's normally one of the easier gym leaders. I'm able to 2-shot his entire team with either Return or Low Sweep, and with this victory, Heliolisk can get a huge moveset upgrade, because the prize for this battle is the TM for Thunderbolt. I also purchased the TM for Rain Dance before heading to Route 14, and you can see that I have a lot of money from leaving the amulet coin on. I do have a rival battle against Callum as soon as I enter the route. He's not a challenge though. And we're going to jump past Route 14 straight to Laverre City, since there's nothing of relevance here. The first thing I'm going to do when I arrive here is pick up an Ether, which will have use later in the league. I then head straight for Valerie's gym to take on the Fairy-type specialist. The battle against her is a bit annoying. I haven't taught Thunderbolt yet. Why? I don't know. I've mentioned this before, I just forget to teach these new moves for some reason, but Thunder misses twice on her opening Mawile, so I have to knock it out over 2 turns with Parabolic Charge, which does heal me up some. but the real annoyance is Mr. Mime, because Return barely misses the one-shot as it sets up Light Screen. While this will cut the damage from moves I'd rather be using like Thunder for her ace Sylveon, I can at least get her to burn through all of her Hyper Potions before her ace comes out. I need to do a run with this thing soon. I believe normally Return would have been a 3-shot on this thing, but thanks to my first one critting, it's a 2-shot, earning us the 6th gym badge. The Pokeball Factory is normally a place where I'd pick up some optional battles, especially since we have the 3 battles against Lysander coming up, but I think Heliolisk is going to be alright. Team Flare isn't a challenge, especially with my rival helping me. I get the Master Ball after driving them out of town, which is important, and as I leave town and head to Route 15 towards Dendemille Town, I'm going to make a pit stop. You can head into Route 16 before entering Dendemille Town if you push this boulder, and up ahead is a bush you can cut, which will get you an extra rare candy. In these X and Y solo runs, I think I've only skipped candies with 2 Pokemon so far, Xerneas and Yveltal, which have the top 2 spots on my tier list, but they are legendaries after all, so that's not surprising. Once I arrive in Dendemille Town, I head north to Frost Cavern, and I forgot how much of a pain this place can be, and I started to get flashbacks to the Aurorus run, because coming up, there is a 3-part path you can take, all leading to trainers with fighting types. The top path leads to Black Belt Alonzo, who has a Scrafty and Throw. To the left is a double battle with Brains and Bronze, Owen, and Wolf. It is possible to skip them, but that will lead you to a battle with Battle Girl Kinsley, who has a Sawk and Mienshao. I know I previously said Heliolisk didn't need to take optional battles at the Pokeball Factory, but I completely forgot about this part, and things are about to get rough for our part normal type. And I lost so many times here, it's extremely frustrating. Eventually I was able to get by against the double battle, thanks to them targeting my HM users, which let me focus down Hariyama first before taking out Grumpig. Team Flare at the end isn't a challenge, and I can finally cross Route 17, getting a rare candy at the end before entering Anastar City. And there are a lot of moves Heliolisk is about to get access to. In the Pokemon Center, I purchased the TMs for Thunder, Hyper Beam, and Focus Miss. Afterwards, I grabbed the TM for Hidden Power, which if you haven't seen on the right hand side of the screen, I'm going with Hidden Power Ice, specifically for Drasna. I have a rival battle against Callum before I can enter Olympia's gym, and he gave me some problems this time around. It's hailing, so I'm going to be taking chip damage at the end of each turn. Meowstic no longer has Light Screen, but now has Psychic, which is doing decent damage, and Chestnut now has a fighting type attack in Brick Break, which obliterates Heliolisk twice. Before this third attempt, I've taught Charge Beam and Hidden Power Ice. I need the special attack boost from Charge Beam to hopefully one-shot Chestnut, which is exactly what happens. His final 2 Pokemon, Vaporeon and Absol, don't provide any challenge to Heliolisk, and with the rival out of the way, let's face our 7th gym leader, Olympia. Like against Callum, I want to go for Charge Beam to set up and hopefully sweep her 2 Pokemon after Sigilif. While I do get 2 special attack boosts before taking out her lead, it does set up a Light Screen before going down. Slowking is her bulkiest Pokemon, but Parabolic Charge just gets a critical hit to one-shot it. Last is Meowstic. I switched to Return for it, which knocks it out over 2 turns. Alright, now it's time for the Pokemon Crystal equivalent of the Rocket Hideout and Takeover, Lysander's Labs and the Team Flare hideout in Geosenge Town, which also includes 3 battles against Lysander that increase in difficulty, and this is actually my second attempt at the first battle. Mienfoo hit me with a critical hit high jump kick to add insult to injury in the first one, but in this battle, it misses the move and KOs itself with the crash damage. I play a little bit risky on Gyarados. Charge Beam doesn't one-shot it despite doing 4 times damage, but does give me a special attack boost. Gyarados retaliates with Earthquake, doing massive damage, leaving me on 19 HP before I heal up with some Parabolic Charge to take it out. I can heal back on Pyroar as well, as it hits me with a Fire Blast, leaving Heliolisk on 1 HP before I take it out. Murkrow thankfully doesn't have a priority move, and the first battle against Lysander is done. The one thing I'll mention about Lysander's labs is there's a rare candy you can actually pick up here, only requiring one optional battle to get to. I think when I eventually redo Xerneas and Yveltal and play a Pokemon like Zygarde, this will be one of those I skip, although I think I skipped this one in Xerneas and Yveltal's original runs. We see Lysander talking with an imprisoned ZA, I press the blue button and reveal the secret headquarters and weapon within Geosenge Town, and then fly there and take on Lysander for a second time. This first attempt ends quickly, as Mienfoo, who's now a Mienshao, uses high jump kick and annihilates me. I use a rare candy before the next battle to go above a damage rounding threshold, and honestly, it makes all the difference. I can one-shot Mienshao, one-shot Gyarados, two-shot Pyroar, and one-shot Honchkrow. I capture Xerneas and send it to my box and face Lysander for the final time. Because of all the mandatory battles it takes to get here, I'm now level 60, but now I have to worry about a Gyarados that can Mega Evolve, and with Mega Evolution comes a Mega Boost to its stats. Like in the last battle, I can 1 or 2-shot the first 3 Pokemon, 1-shot Mienshao, 2-shot Pyroar who does about half to me with Fire Blast, and 1-shot Honchkrow while healing up with Parabolic Charge. Thunderbolt leaves Mega Gyarados on yellow health, as its Earthquake leaves me on 1 HP remaining. Heliolisk lands its next attack, foiling Lysander's plans. We can now enter Corway Town. There's a rare candy I can pick up here that I'm going to be saving for later. I have a rematch with Professor Sycamore, he's easy, and then I have to battle Shauna, Tierno, and Trevor in back-to-back battles before I can enter Snowbell City, and Shauna usually isn't a problem. Trevor usually provides the most difficulty, but in this run, she does. Her second Pokemon is the pseudo-legendary Goodra, and this thing knows Earthquake, and it's able to 2-shot Heliolisk because Hidden Power Ice is a 3-shot, and it beats me twice. In the third battle, I switch to Return because Goodra's physical defense is less than half of its special defense, and Return thankfully 2 shots. But against Delphox, I make a misplay. Thunderbolt does over half to it as it sets up a Calm Mind. I should have switched to Return, but go for Thunderbolt again, leaving it on low red health, and it takes me out with Psychic. I make it back to it in the next battle, but get taken out for a second time. And in my 5th battle against Shauna, I'm finally able to defeat her, switching to Return after it goes for Calm Mind. Tierno and Trevor are thankfully first try victories, and now we can face the final gym leader, Wulfric. For this battle, I've taught Focus Miss, and it doesn't miss against Abomasnow, one-shotting it. Against Cryogonal, I'm going to switch to Return since it has paper-thin physical defense, which one-shots it. Last is Avalugg, and I still need to get around to doing a run with this thing. Focus Miss stays true to its name, missing, as I take near half HP from Avalanche and Hail damage, but my last PP of it doesn't miss, earning us the Iceberg badge. Before heading to Victory Road, I'm going to take care of a few errands. The first is heading to Route 16. There's another rare candy I can pick up here, but I can also use Waterfall and Surf to get the TM for Dark Pulse, which will come in handy for the League. In Victory Road, I'm going to be avoiding as many optional battles as I can, although there is a Psychic Spinner with an Espeon that always gets me, and they do in this run as well. I do pick up the rare candy that isn't too far out of the way here, and before I can take on the Victory Road gauntlet at the end of the cave, I have to face my rival for the final time, and just like he did in Anastar City, he causes problems here as well. I have to 2-shot his lead Meowstic, and I can heal back nearly all the damage it dealt with Fake Out and Psychic. However, I have to deal with Chestnut next. Focus Blast, if it hits, will be a 2-shot, but it nearly one-shots me with Brick Break. Thankfully, the 70% accurate move pulls through. Against Vaporeon, I try to heal up with some Parabolic Charge, but Muddy Water does good damage and lowers my accuracy in the process. While my next Thunderbolt takes it out, I don't see us winning this attempt, and he sends out Altaria next, and I'm just not doing enough damage to this thing, along with missing once thanks to Muddy Water, and it takes me out. There's a simple solution though. Use 3 rare candies to go to level 70 above 2 damage rounding thresholds, teach Hidden Power Ice in the place of Focus Blast, and go to town. While Hidden Power is still a 2-shot on Chestnut, the higher level lets me tank Brick Break a bit better, leaving me on yellow health as opposed to red health. Thunderbolt one-shots Vaporeon, Hidden Power one-shots Altaria, and Return, thanks to a crit, one-shots Absol. The Victory Road Gauntlet doesn't provide Heliolisk with too much trouble, although veteran Katrina does defeat me a few times, but the other 2 are first try victories. Now, let's take on the League. Up first is Seabold, our easiest matchup on paper. Just keep your cursor on Thunderbolt and press A. It's a one-shot sweep and we can move on. I decide to take on Malva next, and I've taught Bulldoze and Focus Blast as options for her lead Pyroar and Chandelure. Focus Blast obliterates Pyroar, and next is Torkoal. Thunderbolt leaves it on yellow health. I was hoping it would set up Curse, but instead goes for Earthquake, leaving me under half after Leftovers recovery. However, she's now in full restore range, so I can heal up a bit more with Parabolic Charge and finish the turtle with a Thunderbolt on the next turn. She sends in her ace Talonflame next, which is obliterated by Thunderbolt, and last is the Ghost-type Chandelure. And I have some misclicks here. I go for Thunderbolt and paralyze it, but it uses Confide, lowering my special attack. I try switching to Bulldoze, but misclick Focus Blast, which obviously doesn't hit it as she heals it with a full restore, before switching to Thunderbolt, which 2-shots her Ghost Fire type. After taking 3 losses to Wickstrom at the hands of Aegislash and Probopass, I try my luck with Drasna, and this first battle taught me a few things. The first being, I'm going to need special attack boost from Charge Beam, and the second being if I get poisoned, reset immediately, which I do once after this first attempt. That ends with Heliolisk fainting to poison damage, but there's a way to get around the poison. Teach Rest and equip the Chesto Berry, and when Dragalge gets me down to low red health and poisons me, I can heal up to full, and Hidden Power Ice obliterates her team, thanks to the special attack boost from Charge Beam, and all that's left is Wickstrom, who in my opinion is the most difficult Elite Four member for these games. While I do get 4 Charge Beams off on Klefki thanks to Wickstrom using a full restore, I only get 2 special attack boosts from it, and it hits me with the annoying Torment before fainting. He sends out Probopass next. Dark Pulse wouldn't one-shot this thing anyway thanks to its sturdy ability, and Earth Power with a crit nearly takes me out. I finish it on the next turn with Charge Beam and get a special attack boost as he sends out his ace Aegislash. This thing likes to use King Shield turn 1, which would probably spell the end for Heliolisk, but it probably sees I'm in KO range as Dark Pulse one-shots it in its shield form. Last is Scissor. I wasn't sure if I should risk Charge Beam or go for Rest and hope it doesn't knock me out while I'm asleep. I choose Charge Beam, which does get the one-shot. What a relief. I was expecting this to take a few attempts considering he beat me 3 times before I decided to take on Drasna. I have 1 rare candy left in my bag which I'm going to use before facing Diantha. I'm also going to teach Thunderbolt in the place of Rest. It's time for Heliolisk to finish our first Gen 6 run in 9 months. Let's take on the champion. Diantha's lead is Hawlucha, which I plan on backporting the Mega Form into Generation 1 at some point. Charge Beam one-shots it while also giving me a special attack boost. She sends in the pseudo-legendary Gudra next. It might have been handy to have a move like Return or even Bulldoze on my learn set for this thing and Aurorus, since they both have higher special defense than physical defense. While Hidden Power Ice is a 2-shot, it hits me with a Focus Blast, critting in the process and leaving me on low yellow health. Her following Tyrantrum falls to Hidden Power, and next is Aurorus. Thunderbolt deals a decent amount of damage to it, but it hits me with Blizzard, critting in the process and finishes me. I make sure to put on the leftovers before this next battle. I forgot to in the first. Goodra still hits the 70% accurate move, but without a crit, it does about half to me, and thanks to my first hidden power putting her in full restore range, I can get even more healing from the leftovers, and I can easily make it back to Aurorus with about 3/4 of my HP, and I decide to play a little risky from here. I go for Charge Beam to try and get a special attack boost, which I don't get, and it sets up Light Screen, my worst nightmare with this moveset. Thunderbolt is doing less as a result, and Blizzard is still hitting decently hard, but then I get some luck. After a full restore, I can 3-shot Aurorus with Thunderbolt, which also brings the light screen counter to an end, as Blizzard misses twice. Diantha has 2 Pokemon remaining, Gourgeist, which falls to a Dark Pulse, and her Mega Gardevoir, and my luck continues. As Dark Pulse flinches the Mega Evolution, I go for Thunderbolt on my next turn, finishing her ace, and the run is over. For the first Gen 6 run in 9 months, Heliolisk finds itself with a top 5 finish, finishing at level 77 with an in-game time of 6 hours and 44 minutes. And if we take Xerneas and Yveltal out of the equation, Heliolisk has a top 3 finish, and honestly, it surprised me, kind of like Pyroar with its top 3 finish if you include Xerneas and Yveltal. This video felt like it took forever to produce, with having to get some work done on my PC, to having to redo a bunch of settings, and just life and among other things getting in the way. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this run. If you want to see another Gen 6 run later this month, or maybe I should say next month, because I don't know if this is going to go up September 1st or August 31st. Let's see if we can get this video to 69 likes. I've got some plans for October that I hope you guys will enjoy as we go back to some backports in Generation 1. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel, and special shout out to the channel members. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.